Hey there, my name's Danny Leibrandt and I'm the founder of Pest Control SEO, where we help pest control companies grow with SEO. Today I'm with Bill Dowd, who is a almost, I wouldn't say world-renowned pest control guy, but he is super well known in the pest control and wildlife industry. So he has been running the Skedaddle kind of franchise for 35 years now, and they take care of pest control, wildlife, and now recently in the past 10 years or so, they've been doing Christmas decorating. So they really cover it all. They are arguably the number one wildlife control company and franchise in North America. So super huge company. So glad to have Bill on and, just learn about his expertise, over 30 years in the game, and just learn about his story. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Bill.
Excellent. Thanks for having me, Danny. My pleasure.
Yeah, of course. So I told you I like to start at the beginning of your journey, and I found this really fascinating that you actually started out as a professional hockey player. Tell me about how that happened.
Yes, the former life, so to speak, when I was a heck of a lot younger. I played junior A hockey in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, our nation's capital. I was then drafted by the New York Islanders way back in the early 80s when they were winning Stanley Cup after Stanley Cup. So, I played a few years, bounced around the minors throughout Michigan, Ohio, Indiana. Never really got up to the big league to the Islanders. They were, they said Stanley Cup after Stanley Cup. So at some point I thought, okay, this is time to move on with my life. And,
Mm.
I went back to school, got an education, and then I saw this need for wildlife control and, it never looked back since.
Okay, cool. And I think you went to Truly Nolan after that. What was that like?
Right. So, I was in business 25, 30 years, and we'd always wanted to, look into pest control. And I used to vacation down in Florida every summer. I would take my family down there. People say, "Oh, Bill, what are you going to Florida for in the middle of summer?" Well, there's an ocean, there's a pool, boys. What do you want to do? Anyhow, one day I saw this car driving down the road, the Truly Nolan car, the yellow
Mm.
Volkswagen with ears on the top that came down at stoplights and popped back up. So I thought,
Yeah,
wow, this
yeah.
is cool. Back then, most pest control operators were, unmarked vehicles. I thought this is a marketing brilliance that Truly
Hmm.
Nolan had this car. So, a couple of years after that, I started seeing Truly Nolan back then. This is when Yellow Pages, no online SEO. This is when Yellow Pages, these small little communities. I saw these Truly Nolan ads. Oh, what are they doing there? Anyhow, long story short, I found out they had expanded into Canada. Uh, Someone had owned the master franchise rights for the entire country. And, I partnered with them, and then we started operating Truly Nolan franchises in wildlife control locations. So
Hmm.
that's kind of how we kind of, got involved with Truly Nolan. Um, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, tell me more about kind of the evolution of that. So you found out about them, and I think you were with them, or at least franchising them for about 7 years. What was that
Right.
like? What was
Yep.
that whole journey there?
Well, it was quite interesting, being a wildlife background. I had people on staff that loved insects and bugs, and it was their passion. So, my senior leadership team really took to it, and we opened all these locations in the areas that we were doing wildlife control. We Canadianized everything. In Canada, our rules and regulations and product and materials are a lot more restrictive than
Mm.
what you use in the U.S. So, you
Mm.
know. When we first started, the franchise gurus at Truly Nolan said, "No, you guys don't have that chemical. Well, good luck getting rid of those ants." So we got to Canadianize the entire system, the products we use, the procedures, the techniques, even a Canadian website for Truly Nolan, which they didn't have. We instigated that and
Mm.
developed it. And there came to be a point where, as all business relationships, sometimes it's time to, break away. So we had an amicable separation, where we removed ourselves from Truly Nolan and sold it back to the person who had the original franchise rights for all of Canada. And we now operate our pest control division under Skedaddle Pest Control. So, you
Mm.
know, uh, before it was going from a green shirt to a yellow shirt, Truly Nolan's colors. Now we just stay all in yellow. So, or sorry,
Yeah,
green, Skedaddle green.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
kind of a little background on that.
Cool. I'm curious, how did you come up with the name Skedaddle?
Well, that's a great story. That's, being an ex-athlete and, an entrepreneur and wildlife professional, I thought I could come up with a name, but
Mm.
it's more difficult than it sounds because, nowadays everything's online, SEO,
Mm-hmm.
AdWords, what have you. So you had to get the .com, but
Mm.
in Canada we have a .ca, which is our, the local
Mm-hmm.
internet uh, prefix or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, we had to come up with a number of names. We tried it ourselves, my marketing team, my marketing, senior executives, and the best thing we could come up with was Chubby Raccoon. And, family and friends were saying, Chubby Raccoon, Bill, you can't do that. So we went to a local marketing company, and, those marketers, you have to pay, you get what you pay for. So they kind of
Mm-hmm.
changed the logo a bit, made it a little more friendly, came up with the green colors, kind of really focused in on the marketing with Skedaddle. We have other animals that we call, Scoot the raccoon, Scram the skunk. So we, just playing off of these names and numbers, and
Mm.
it's really made a huge difference. Skedaddle is kind of one of these old names that people remember.
Mm-hmm.
In the old days, people say, I don't know if I hired you or hired somebody else. Now everybody just remembers the name Skedaddle. And I was on a job site yesterday. We had a gentleman in town who's looking at purchasing a franchise. And, the homeowner, the first thing he said, Skedaddle, I see your trucks everywhere. Like, you
Mm.
guys are all over the place. How'd you guys get there? Where'd you come from? It's like, well, we changed our name about 10, 15 years ago, but yeah, it's one of those names that is very highly visible and people kind of get a kick out of it.
Yeah, definitely. No, I love it. It's super memorable. I've never heard Skedaddle for any other company, and I'd argue that that's maybe the number one thing when it comes to choosing a company name. If maybe some local business owners haven't even gotten to that, but picking a business name that is super unique and people can remember immediately. So I think that's even a good little golden nugget there. Is like I've heard so many because I'm looking at so many different pest control companies, maybe auditing them or talking to them. I've seen so many advanced wildlife solutions or, pest control solutions or, you know, absolute pest control. Like they're all, a lot of them are kind of the same thing. So when you see something that sticks out like Skedaddle, you remember it. Like I remember, I don't know, maybe a few weeks ago when I first reached out to you, I saw Skedaddle and I still remembered it today. I saw it for like, maybe a few minutes or so. And, then I was starting to do research on you maybe a few days ago and I still remembered it. So having a brand like that, I think is huge. And I think a lot of companies overlook that.
Exactly. You're exactly right that, there's so many names that are so similar and people the marketplace gets confused and they can't remember, who was doing my service last and what's the name of that
Hmm.
company where, we're seeing that exact same thing when people they kind of look at the name Skedaddle, and, you see that light bulb go off and
Hmm.
it's really helped from a brand recognition, especially now that, we're awarding franchises throughout America. So, it's really helped. And, when you see one of our trucks driving down the road, you see us in these bright green shirts, you kind
Hmm.
of tend to remember. And word of mouth, whether any business, whether it's pest control, wildlife, Christmas, word of mouth is a great advertising
Mm.
uh,
It's the
avenue.
best.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, almost as good as
definitely.
SEO though nowadays, right?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, tell me. I just want to kind of get into the nitty gritty. Like, what was the first few years of Skedaddle like, and was it kind of smooth sailing because you were already, doing it at Truly Nolan, or were there some, big obstacles you had to overcome?
You're talking from the pest side of things or the
Yeah,
wildlife
when
side?
you first started out, so about 35 years ago.
Yeah, well, 35 years ago, I was kind of the only name in town. There
Mm.
was pest control operators that kind of dabbled in wildlife or maybe even didn't do it. I started out and, back then Yellow Pages was, I'm dating myself here, but Yellow Pages was the kind of the only advertising we did.
Mm.
So these pest control operators would see what's a Skedaddle, what's this wildlife company, what are they doing, how are they doing it? And then, slowly we started seeing these pest control operators kind of dabbling in wildlife, and it really is not uh, a job that you can be dabbling in. You have to be in wildlife control full time.
Mm.
We don't, our pest control technicians, we don't let them climb ladders. They don't deal with wildlife,
Mm.
and our wildlife technicians don't deal with pest issues. It really is two separate lines of business. Um, like pest control is, get that route, get in, get out. Your commercial clients, same thing, get in, get out. Higher number of clients at a lower dollar value, where the
Mm.
wildlife control, in most cases, we have two technicians on a job site for the entire day. And
Mm,
the dollar value is higher than the pest removal. So, as a pest control operators who are strictly into pest control, that just kind of blows their mind. Like, what? You have
mm,
technicians there all day? Like, well, how are you making money? Well,
mm-hmm.
the wildlife is, a lot. How we do business, we're focused on animal proofing the structure. So there's a lot of repair work and sealing up the home, which generates those revenues, as opposed to a quick, go in and change the rodent stations or a quick wasp spray, what have you. So totally two different lines of business and work.
Interesting. And is wildlife more one time, or is that still a recurring service as well?
It's one and done. If we got
Oh,
to go
okay.
back, if we have to go back, then we messed up.
Okay.
So with Skedaddle and all our franchises, once we've done the work, we give a lifetime guarantee.
Mm,
So, once we get those squirrels or raccoons or skunks, birds, bats, mice, once we get them out and we've mouse-proof a home or rat-proof the home or raccoon-proof the home, that homeowner gets a lifetime guarantee. So
mm.
animals get back in, mice get back in, that's on our dime or nickel to get back out and get them out, fix the entry areas again, and not charging the homeowner. So kind of a different philosophy in how things are done.
So for you personally, you have a ton of experience in both the industries, wildlife and pest control. Which one do you personally like more?
Well, since wildlife was my first, I have to, kind of side on the side of wildlife.
Yeah.
There's nothing, even to this day, baby season when,
Mm,
we get our first babies, when one of our technicians has crawled through that attic and, whether it be the end of February, mid-February, March, that we find those first litters that they pick up in their hands and carry out.
mm.
I still get excited and want to be at that job site. Oh, hey, we
Yeah.
got babies again. A little more, and homeowners like to come out. They'll take pictures of you with holding the babies, and
Mm,
they'll tell all their friends. They'll put it on Facebook and share it. Now with social media,
hmm.
um, there's a bit of a more warm and fuzzy feeling with the wildlife control versus
Mm.
doing a bed bug job or a cockroach job. Right? There's not much
Yeah.
glamour in those type of
Yeah,
services
no.
compared to baby squirrels or baby raccoons. So yeah, I'd have to kind of slide into the raccoons or wildlife would be my more favorite of the two.
Hmm. Okay, I never actually thought about it that way. But yeah, no, pest control, it's almost like repulsive, and that's kind of the selling point is that like no one wants to touch the spiders or the bed bugs or whatever. But I mean, still no one wants to deal with the squirrels or raccoons, but it's like, oh my God, they're so cute, but just like don't live in my house. So
Exactly. Yeah,
so
exactly.
that
That's it.
that's
Yeah.
cool. Okay. I've pretty much solely been in pest control. Now I'm starting to expand into wildlife as well for my clientele. So I was just talking with a guy the other day, and I didn't realize how expensive these jobs are. What I think I heard about a $30,000 bat exclusion job. So is that pretty common?
No, $30,000 job isn't that common, but they do come in.
Mm,
We've had 50, 60, $70,000 jobs
wow.
for bats. As I mentioned, we had a potential franchise owner spend the day with us yesterday. We went to a church and it was $7,000 to get the bats out and to exclude them. So, you know, wildlife work can be quite lucrative. Same with the commercial bird issues. Whether birds are roosting in a retail outlet or or a garden center where we have to net the entire ceiling of a structure. So, commercial bird work can be fairly pricey as well. But it's the expertise, it's the material costs, it's doing it properly so that homeowners never have to worry about having an animal or a bird in their home again.
Yeah, do you have any crazy stories in particular? Like, I'm sure there's been one where, I don't know, maybe there's tons of bats or tons of squirrels, whatever it is. I'm sure you have at least one of those.
No, we could write a book on some of the weird and unique stories. So uh, probably the most famous is, this is when I was just starting out my business. I just graduated from university, and back then I had a pager on my hip, answering service. So you
Mm,
get calls at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. So your old university buddies are buzzing your pager at 3 in the morning, saying, "Ah, there's a giraffe in my attic," or a hippopotamus, that type of thing. But we got a call that about monkeys that were on the loose, Japanese snow monkeys. So um,
what?
these are uh, they're from Japan. They live in the mountains. They eat fruit, and they were in the Niagara region, and they have snow in Japan in the mountains. So they're used to our cold winters in Canada. They eat fruit. Niagara is a big fruit producing area, Niagara fruit belt. So, this is interesting. And it was actually the government that called us because somebody had them in a private zoo and they released them. They're running around the wild for a good year.
Dang.
So the mother stood about 4 feet on all four legs. One of her young was a male, and he started showing his dominance and would start attacking people and biting people. They carry hepatitis, HIV, a bunch of communicable diseases for humans. So government called us in. We use the farmer sort of as bait because the female would go in heat once a year, and she would try to mate with this farmer that was they kind of adopted them. They would drive over to Buffalo, Niagara, Buffalo's 10 minutes across the border. They'd drive over to Buffalo Zoo and get buffalo primate food, bring it back. So they're feeding them. So, when we pulled up, it was like we were in Africa. The monkeys were swinging from the trees, and
No
the farmer
way.
comes out, he's in Canada, he's carrying a hockey stick. And he would use the stick to gently keep the mother at bay. So we used him as bait to get the mother into one of his storage sheds. We caught the mother, and then we used the mother as bait to catch the babies. Once we had them, we're like, okay, what do we do with monkeys? Like, what do we do? So we thought, we'll just call the Metro Toronto Zoo. That's the biggest zoo. I don't think U.S. government would like us bringing these monkeys from Canada across the U.S. border to take the Buffalo Zoo. So we thought the Toronto Zoo, and they said, no, we can't introduce those monkeys to the troop that's already here. They'd be killed within 15 minutes. So we did find a smaller zoo that took them. And the gentleman, actually, he had to go down to Atlanta to CDC for testing because he had all scratches on his neck from, kind of trying to keep the mother at bay. So last I heard, they were flourishing in this zoo in Northern Ontario. Kind of a bittersweet story because, we're used to taking animals, getting them out of structures and, letting them loose. These are animals, these monkeys that were, in captivity. They had a chance of freedom, living in the wild and in the woods of Niagara. And then, we caught them and they had to go back into captivity. So a little bittersweet story there, but, we had to do something to catch them. So that's probably the most unique and
okay.
That
was as good as that was way better than I expected. The government contacted you. There's these crazy monkeys on the loose from Japan. That is awesome. That's such a good story. I love that. Continuing on your journey, you started. I'm interested in this. You started doing Christmas decorating, 11, 12 years ago. Why did you start doing that?
Well, it was one of those things, in certain parts of Canada, the winters can be pretty bad. So, pest dies down, there's not many pests, ants or spiders crawling around in the dead of January and February in Canada. So, I thought, okay, well, we kind of slow down going into Christmas season. We should do this Christmas decorating. So, we learned how to do this, and basically we thought I would just keep my guys busy. And, it's really taken off with our marketing, with our SEO, our online presence, where, it's a whole other business line now. And, some of my staff that have been with me, 20, 25 years, it's like, okay, well, we'll deal with that when it's the slow time. It's like, Bill, there's no slow time anymore. We got, it's wasp season, it's bat season, it's, spider season. It's getting into Christmas season. So it's just, these are all these different service lines that all of our franchisees can add as their revenue streams into their businesses.
Okay, cool. So
and we talk about, you said, Bill, what do you like better, wildlife or pests? Christmas has got to be up there too, because whether people have spiders or ants or cockroaches or bats or mice or raccoons, people have to do something. They have to solve the problem. They don't want to, they have to. With the Christmas decorating, it's a whole different buying cycle. People, they don't have to, they want to have Christmas lights put up. They want their home stunning for the holiday season. So, the customer, if you or me had to change our tires or brakes on our car and $1,000, $2,000, like, okay, I got to do it. versus Christmas. Oh, I got to spend $2,000. My house is going to be the best looking house on the street. Sign me up. Yeah, there you go.
Mm,
So the Christmas, a lot of more affluent homeowners that have disposable income. They don't want to get on their roof from a safety perspective. They want, their house being stunningly lit up for the holiday season. And that's where Christmas lights from Skedaddle. That's where we come in.
wow. Yeah, I haven't heard of too many Christmas decorating businesses, but it makes complete sense. Like, I mean, we decorate our Christmas or we decorate our house every year, and most houses do on the block, but I think that it's usually, the parents or whoever that are decorating it, maybe they do it pretty minimally, and as they get older, they do less and less. But, if you have someone come in and, it's maybe not too expensive or it looks amazing, then it makes complete sense.
Yeah, there's always a market. There's always people out there. It's a real feel-good business too. If
Mm,
our pest technicians do a cockroach job, they're not going to take their family. Oh, this is the apartment. I took
yeah.
cockroaches out of here, or I took bats out of that house. But with the Christmas, a lot of our staff will take their spouses and their family and say, "Here, look at this house that I decorated today. Look
Yeah,
how
that's so
beautiful it
cool.
is." So it's a real feel-good business. Um, keeps morale up for the staff. They get a change of pace. Dealing with squirrels or raccoons all year long, or bed bugs or spiders.
Mm,
If you want to come over and help the Christmas decorating at that time, they can. Now, of course, our pest operators who aren't used to being on ladders and being,
mm.
on roofs, we keep them they stay on the ground. They do the, decorating the trees and the shrubs and that type of thing. The wildlife technicians that are used to being up and down ladders and on roofs all the time, they'll take care of all the roof lighting. So, it's, it really keeps the company growing and,
Yeah.
keeps the profit margins high.
No, that makes complete sense. I mean, with all the pest control companies that I've seen, again, I'm not too much into wildlife, but I'm guessing I know there's some overlap. But every single time it's winter, basically the leads almost fall through the roof because there's just not much business. When it's summer, that means there's more moisture. All the bugs are coming out. They're all having babies, whatever. Now there's all these infestations. But winter, it's usually pretty calm, which honestly, you might have figured out the perfect way to combat that is having, some kind of winter season business. So I
Right.
think that's a really smart idea.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have franchises in, Arizona, California, Florida, the warmer states just yet.
Mm,
But, obviously in those states, those warmer states, like, everyone has a pest control operator that's out there once a month, doing their treatment. So,
uh-huh.
with the colder weather in northern states, like our Minnesota franchise, they're adding Christmas this year. So just in the northern climates, having the Christmas decorating, kind of ounces off how the bugs kind of decrease through the winter months in the colder climates.
Awesome. So you've grown all of these three different companies under Skedaddle pretty substantially. What is kind of your main way of getting customers, or is it like a vast variety of everything?
Uh, SEO,
Really?
yeah, our website, we've been around so long. We spend a lot of money on our website, a lot of money on, organic leads, whether it be blog posts, updating the website, local pages for our individual franchises. So nowadays, everything is online.
Hmm.
It was a bit of a scary thought when we first pulled the plug on Yellow Pages because I was in whatever 70 different directories and spending over $500,000 on Yellow Page ads. Um, so, pulling the plug on the Yellow Pages and putting everything online was very, very scary, whatever, 10, 15 years ago,
Mm,
20 years ago. But we made that leap and have never looked back. And, we have just based on the size of my company, I have a whole marketing department. We have outside agencies that do SEO and work with my marketing department in-house in Canada and in the US. So, yeah, it's our website gets more hits in from America than Canada. Even though
mm.
our presence isn't as vast across the country in the US as we are in Canada. But I think it's just Google is recognizing us as an authority on wildlife control and pest control and all of our efforts we do to make the website searchable at the top of Google's list, so people see us in no matter what city they are in America.
Definitely. Yeah, no, and I love to hear that, especially me as a, mainly SEO guy, that I 100% believe in SEO as well. I think that's where it's at least in my experience, me, the people I know, usually scroll past Google Ads. Of course, Google Ads still work, but SEO is where it's at, especially also ranking in the map pack of having your Google Business Profile ranking. If you have one of those in each of your main cities and you have even just, over 100 reviews on each one, you're going to get a lot of customers just from that. So when you say SEO, is it mainly your website, or are you also getting customers from Google Business Profile? Do you know?
Yeah, we're using Google Profile as well. We're every day we're tweaking it, and with wildlife control or pest control, the search terms. What are people
Mm,
searching? Is it, for example, is it raccoon removal, raccoon on roof, raccoon in roof, raccoon in
mm,
soffit, raccoon in yard? There's so we
yeah.
know those keywords that different what people are searching, so we can capitalize that. And of course, also based on the different seasons. When are babies coming for raccoons? When are squirrel babies coming? So we can
Mm,
when are bat season? As we're getting into the fall, all of us in the pest control industry know that we're getting into rodent season, when
mm,
rodents start really invading homes.
mm,
So knowing those seasonal changes and the insect changes, so that then we can capitalize that on the Google My Business, the SEO, blog posts, videos, YouTube. You know, we like to think at Skedaddle we just happen to be a marketing company that happens to
mm.
catch raccoons, squish bugs, and hang Christmas lights.
That's good.
So yeah,
Well, yeah, everyone has to be a marketing company first. If you're not getting leads, then, what are you good for? You're not even a business.
right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to ask you, so it sounds like, at least right now, you have a good SEO agency, or maybe they're just overall digital marketing agency. What advice can you give to, fellow local business owners about finding a good agency?
Do your due diligence. Don't try to do it yourself. You
Mm,
know, um, Obviously, this is best left for people like yourself, Danny, who have that experience and knowledge, and know what to do as a business owner. You can't you can't do everything. You
mm,
can't be good at SEO. You can't be good at sales. You can't be good at production. You can't be good at marketing, HR. So you need to, as you grow your business, you need to hire those people and build a
mm,
team. I think my previous life as a professional hockey player, you realize that everybody can't score goals, everybody can't
mm,
stop goals, everybody can't be a checker or a playmaker.
mm,
So do what you do and do best. So I think anyone who's starting a pest control business, well, first of all, I hope they call Skedaddle and say, hey, you got something going here. How do I learn from you? But if they're going to do it themselves, obviously don't try SEO yourself. Find a reputable company, someone who's got some good reviews, and talk to them and see what they can do for you.
Definitely. Yeah, basically, kind of just going off what you're saying, you want A players in every single field of your business. And I think that once, you grow large enough, it might be, 10, 20 million a year, then it probably makes sense to hire someone in-house and just build an SEO team in-house. But, if you're, I don't know, maybe 200K to $5 million a year, it usually makes sense to hire an SEO agency. You don't have the financial kind of bandwidth to hire like a 3 to 5 person SEO team that you'd get from an agency like mine. So that's kind of the
Right.
caveat there. That I think the goal actually is to eventually hire in-house, unless you are super happy with your agency.
Well, that's exactly what we did. Before we got to the size that we are, even before we got on a franchise, and we were using SEO companies.
Mm,
And as we continued to grow and got bigger, then it was like, okay, now it's time to bring it in house. But that's exactly our past, that we did hire and used other companies, and then as we got bigger and built that marketing team, um, and had the revenue to do it, that we brought it all in house.
yeah, cool. So one of like kind of the big opportunities of, I don't know, working with you is basically that, maybe someone who wants to be a pest control company owner, or maybe they're kind of just starting out. I don't know your exact target market, but essentially you let people franchise out Skedaddle. Can you tell me like what that process is like and what people would do in order to franchise Skedaddle?
Yeah, so we have a company based in Denver that does our franchise development for us because everyone wants to be a business owner, but
Mm,
most people don't realize that it takes money to start a business, and
mm,
proper projections and website development and everything that goes into it. So this franchise development company will bring people through the pipeline. What type of business you're looking for: pest control, wildlife control. Do you have the financial money to start this business, to get launched, and cash flow to continue it as you continue to grow it? So, working with that company. But yes, we're looking for anyone who's out there struggling in the pest control
mm,
industry. Maybe you've started your pest business and you have one truck on the road, you want to grow to two. Well, I've grown it from one truck. I think we have over 150, 170 trucks on the road right now. So, how do you get to that second truck? How do you get a third?
mm. Yeah,
Then
yeah.
fourth, fifth, sixth. So how do you scale that? So that's, something that
Mm,
we've done previously and know how to do it. So maybe you've started your pest control company and, you want to grow it quicker. You
mm,
want to jump onto our platform and our website that's already getting hits in you name any city in the US, and we're getting hits from that city because Google is serving up our website. um, or maybe if you've been in the pest industry for quite some time, you dabble in wildlife. It's not your main source of business, but you want to keep your clients happy. You're spending a lot of time and energy and probably not doing it properly, probably not doing it efficiently, and probably not being profitable in your wildlife calls. So, maybe you
mm.
have a successful pest in business and you want to add wildlife control. Well, we can work with those companies and, you know, add the Skedaddle wildlife portion of it, and, either let that company continue with their pest name or, rebrand as Skedaddle Pest Control. So lots of options there for someone who's looking at growing a business, that they're not happy, they're entrepreneurial. They're not going to be happy with two trucks, that they want
Mm.
20 trucks on the road. They want better
Uh-huh.
work-life balance. They want to, they want to spend the time in the field, but at some point, they want to start managing people and start working on the business rather than in the business on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. And tell me more about being a franchise owner yourself. What does kind of the day to day look like? And do you ever have to deal with any like nightmare stories of people, doing a bad job?
No, my day-to-day is dealing with, potential franchise owners, that come through our system. At some point they'll get on phone calls with myself, and, I'll and be an open book and let them know, my path, our history, where we're going. And then the final step is they come to our corporate headquarters and we spend a day with them. I can
Mm,
talk till I'm blue in the face about, people spend whatever that 30,000 for a bat removal. Well, let's get out in the
hmm
field. Let's see a bat removal, or let's go to a large commercial pest client, whether it be a shopping mall or uh, football stadium. Let's go and see what is out there. So, I spend most of my time from the franchising aspect. I have, I still own and operate a number of what we call my founder locations across Canada. So I have managers and supervisors still in place. So, I'm looking at steering the company, to hundreds of locations across the U.S., because that's Canada.
mm.
We're not sold out, but there's only a few. We're quite small.
So my question for you is, what would your advice be to kind of newer pest control owners or wildlife owners? Maybe they're just getting in the game. Maybe they're not ready to franchise yet. Maybe they're thinking about it, but they just want to grow their company from maybe, 5K a month to 20 a month. What would you say that they do?
Uh, Obviously, marketing. Make certain that your online presence and your SEO is being looked at on a frequent basis. But with anything, it's hard work. It's getting
Mm,
out there, getting the name out there, doing exceptional customer service. We're in the pest industry. We're all using the same products. We're using the same materials to
mm,
deal with ants or spiders. So we all have the same thing in our toolbox. So it really revolves around the marketing campaigns that you have launched, as well as exceptional customer service.
mm. And I wanted to kind of circle back to branding because you guys have such a unique brand. What advice would you give to other company owners maybe starting their own brand?
Um, yeah, just go to a marketing company as well.
Mm,
As I said, you can't wear all hats. hire good people and let them come up with that name or logos or what have you. But um, it's always a challenge being a business owner. You're going to get those calls in the middle of the night. You're going to get those calls Sunday morning. So be ready to work hard. There's no substitute for hard work.
Definitely. And also, how do you get referrals? Because you were talking about that a little bit of word of mouth. Do you guys have a referral program, or is your company just that good?
Well, I think we're just that good. That we are the industry leader. We know we do good work. It's just maybe it's asking the homeowner after the job, hey, you want to give me a review, or make me look good to my bosses. Or if you have a friend who has a problem, let us know. So I think people like helping other people out. So
Yeah.
If you're a technician in the field and say, hey, homeowners say, oh, you did a great job. My ants are gone, my spiders are gone, my raccoons gone. Wow, you guys work so hard. Just asking for that referral. Do you mind referring me if your friends, family, whatever? Because word of mouth is a pretty powerful marketing tool.
Yeah, definitely. And I also want to kind of circle back to that as well. So you said that the main customer acquisition channel by far is SEO, but are there any others? Because maybe that's 80% of it, but are there any others? Are you guys doing Google ads or social media? Is there anything else that plays into that customer acquisition besides the SEO and word of mouth?
We do Google ad campaigns. Once again, knowing the seasons that's coming up. I think now we're planning our rodent kickoff as we get into the fall season. Then after that, we get into Christmas. So, getting a calendar, knowing what's coming and getting those ads, whether it's Google ads or the SEO ready for that season, goes a long way. But yeah, it's always a challenge to make certain what's coming next. When's wasp season? Okay, well, if you want to do some SEO in the middle of wasp season, it's too late, right? You gotta let Google know months in advance. So, being ahead of the game is important as well.
Definitely. And there's no one checklist or templated model you can use because it's different for every single area, right? So, even just in the US, it's going to totally differ between Arizona and New York and California and Washington. Like every single even city is different. So,
exactly.
The good thing for most pest control operators is that and wildlife obviously too, is that they know kind of the seasonality of their area. And I think it's important for them to communicate with their marketing company of like, hey, it's wasp season in like a few months. Can we make sure that we're advertising on this term?
Right, exactly. We have found, different cities, search terms they use vastly differ. Our franchise in Minneapolis, when they started, what people were searching in Minnesota is completely different in terms of what people are searching in Atlanta, our newest location. So, but that's something where, with our marketing team in-house, we're looking at that almost on a day, are looking at it on a daily basis. So, if any pest control company is having an issue and can't figure out, where these leads are coming from, they should be talking to their SEO company and say, we need to look at this a lot closer because, we have to fine tune the search terms or the ad spend on a daily basis with Google ads. So, it's a constant moving train that you have to get on to get those leads coming in.
Definitely. Another kind of interesting question that I have for you that you might have more expertise than most people on is, how does marketing differ between the US and Canada? Is there much of a difference there? And if so, what is it?
It's pretty much the same. I think it's more so on a city basis. As I just alluded to, Minnesota versus Atlanta. What we do in Montreal is different from what we're doing in Vancouver versus Toronto. So, every city has its own little nuances, and, it's just being diligent and being on top of it, and being, whether your in-house marketing team or your SEO company, being flexible and changing when things aren't working right.
Okay, cool. And what does the future look like for you and Skedaddle? Are you just planning to scale this to the moon? Do you want to exit? What does the future look like?
I'm having too much fun. I'm not exiting. I'm not going anywhere. I guess maybe it's my hockey playing career, the competitiveness.
Mm.
I'm not going to be happy till we have hundreds of locations in the U.S. Um, so we got a lot of states to get into, especially the pest industry, in, as
Mm.
I said, those warmer climates, Arizona, all those warm states. Like, I just think as a pest control operator, they're a gold mine, because I can
Mm.
see the revenue we generate in Canada, where, as I said, a lot of insects die in the winter, or go dormant,
Mm.
versus if they're year round. So, we're excited to get into those markets as we grow through franchising.
Cool. And can you just explain more of the benefit of, maybe a small pest control or wildlife owner using you to franchise? So, instead of them, maybe they have one or two trucks or vans, whatever it is, and, they're looking to grow. Why would working with Skedaddle majorly grow their company?
Well, I think we've done it. I started in my childhood bedroom with my mom and dad working for me, answering the phones, a one-man truck, to all these vehicles, all these locations now. So we know how to scale a business.
Mm.
Um, so, learning from us, as well as, our website that Google is recognizing us as a leader in pest and wildlife control. So, Google has already crawled our website. We're already always updating it. So, starting out from scratch with your own website is, nowadays, Danny, you probably know this better than me, but it's probably got to be at least 50, 60, $100,000. I don't even know, but, so attaching to us that we've already been, we have this proven system that works, whether it be how we answer the calls, how we dispatch technicians, how we do the work, how we do follow-ups, quote follow-ups, all that system that we have in a can that we're, operating and successful in, all these locations across Canada and the US right now. So it can speed up that growth for, the smaller pest control operator. And,
Okay, cool.
they're probably going to come in with the knowledge, obviously they're doing a great job. They started a business, they know how to deal with pests. So, we can kind of tweak that a little bit to make them a little more profitable. But then the bigger upside is adding the wildlife control portion of it, Christmas light portion of it. We also do mosquito control. I know there's franchise out there just doing, just buy a mosquito franchise. You can have that with Skedaddle as an offering. And we also do an attic restoration. That's when, mice and rats and raccoons, they soil the insulation with their feces and droppings and urine. We clean all that out, do a environmentally friendly insulation. So all these different service lines that, someone who started a pest control, there's, four other service lines or revenue streams that they can uh, join when they join a Skedaddle as a franchise owner.
Mm. Awesome. Yeah, I'll kind of give you a quick look at the SEO perspective. Is that it's not so much about putting a ton of money into SEO, but one of the main factors for you guys is that you've been around for so long and that you're a recognized name, and Google takes into account of not only what search traffic you're currently getting, but what search traffic have you gotten over the years. So if you have consistently got, I don't know, 10,000 search traffic every month for the past 20 years, that is going to come to Google as super authoritative. And the same way with backlinks coming in pretty nicely. So that's why usually smaller companies get dominated by bigger companies with SEO, because when you're something like a franchise or, multi-location, then you're getting much more traffic, much more backlinks just naturally, because that's just what will happen. If you have one location, maybe you're getting 500 traffic a month. If you have 5 locations doing the same exact thing, 2,500 traffic a month. And that automatically seems more authoritative to Google. So in that sense, that is a great, kind of a great thing that you guys have. And I've even thought about implementing that myself. It's kind of, let's see, what is it called? Essentially where SEOs will set up a site themselves. Like if I set up a website and then set up location pages in each of these areas, but that'd be much harder for me because I'd almost be started from scratch. So in that way, that is a huge competitive advantage that you guys have.
Right. With the gentleman that was in town yesterday looking at purchasing franchise, we had a marketing team and when we first moved away from yellow pages, we were getting maybe 1,000 to 1,500 hits to our website
Mm.
a month. now we're over 100,000 hits to
Yeah,
our website.
yeah, exactly.
So
It's so
it's
unfair.
crazy how it just explodes. And, but I think a lot of that is because, somebody's in Cleveland or Salt Lake City or Denver and, raccoon and attic, raccoon and chimney, they type that in, and Google is still serving that to them because they realize,
Mm,
oh, here's the authority in raccoons skedaddle, even though we're not in those cities yet, but we will be soon, hopefully. So I think that's a great, as you said, it's a great advantage because we're being recognized by Google already, and how long we've had our website, everything we've done to promote it with Google
definitely.
goes a long way.
Almost to play devil's advocate here, just to help out my audience here, is that if you are going against a big player like Skedaddle, then I think the two ways to kind of compete is Google Business Profile and local service ads. Because if you're going up against a website like theirs, they are doing so incredibly well. So, I mean, unless they don't have a location page set up for that city, which is becoming more, not actually more and more rare, but most companies will not have location pages set up in the cities, even some of the bigger companies. But we recommend that you should have a location page for every city you serve, or at least, if they have a population of over, 10,000.
Yeah.
So if a company like yours is already completely dominating on that term, maybe a smaller company can still rank number 2 or 3, but really where you can shine is Google Business Profile and local service ads, because Google Business Profile, that's more proximity relevant. So if a searcher is within, 3 to 5 miles, then they're more likely going to come to you unless it's, a super dense area and everyone's in that proximity. And then same way with local service ads, a lot more people are finding out about local service ads, but if you do bulk up your Google Business Profile and if you do get a lot of reviews, then that can be a great customer acquisition channel as well. So are you guys doing local service ads at all?
I believe so. It's a term I haven't really been familiar with, but we definitely, great points you're making about those local pages.
Yeah.
Because we are large, people like doing business with people who are local. So,
Uh-huh.
our franchisees are local. They're in those
Mm-hmm.
cities. They're in those communities. Their staff are there. They're spending money there. So they are the local company. So yeah, your local pages are a big asset, and building those out, and then getting Google to takes Google a while to figure out they're there and start crawling them, but it is a worthwhile investment having a company do that for you.
Definitely. And I've been auditing a ton of pest control companies recently, and almost none of them have location pages set up. And this is how you get the local traffic coming to your company. It doesn't matter if you're a franchise or a smaller company. It seems like most people have service pages where it's like, termite control or bed bug removal, but almost none of them have the local pages. And that's where you get the local traffic, and that means you get the local calls and the local customers. Like, you could have a blog that gets 1 million clicks, a million keywords, but if it's not local, if it's not getting you local traffic, like that's my whole thing, is if we're not driving more calls and customers, then, like what are we doing?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people want that local business. They don't want somebody driving all the way from the next town over, right? So
Yeah.
it is important.
Yeah, no, that's the beauty of it. So like I currently live in Glenview right now, just like a pretty small suburb, and I've searched pest control near me before, and I think there's only maybe 1 or 2 pest control companies that have actually made a location page for that. So I'm more inclined to click on that versus the one that says, maybe pest control Skokie. That's the closest one Orkin has, or like Terminix. I don't know, maybe pest control Morton Grove, another
Right.
city nearby. So really the goal for SEO is to answer the search intent as close as possible. So if someone searches pest control Glenview and then you see the website that says pest control Glenview, pest control exterminator, like, call us now, whatever. You're like, oh, okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So
Right.
that's kind of a big SEO tip there. It's just literally answering the question that they're asking.
Right. And then as a business owner, you have to be able to then answer the phone. You're spending all this money
Yeah.
on SEO and website leads, and then to have your phone not go answered, like that's
Mm.
just money, going out the window. So, at Skedaddle, we have a call center that's open 7 days a week, answering calls, and, we get over 1,000 phone calls a day into our call center right now. But, answer your phone. If you're spending all this money to make the phone ring, well, you better answer it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. So call center, that's outsourced. Is that an agency or something else?
No, That's in our corporate head
Oh,
office.
okay.
But COVID changed all that. We had a big renovation, big call center made, and COVID happens. Everybody works from home, and when everything opened up again, we didn't want to make people come back to work because
Mm,
they could work at home. They just had to plug their phone in, their computer in, and it's like they're sitting in our office now. So it's it's been a great advance for us because now we have happier people answering our calls. They're sitting at home, they log
mm.
in, we can monitor remotely. So why get in your car or take the bus into the office when you can do it from your bedroom? And
Mm.
so it's been a great benefit for us, and allowed us to hire great people that they don't need to be in a certain city. We could hire somebody from um, anywhere in
Mhm.
North America. And in fact, we've had some of our customer service reps go to different countries to see their family, and they're working in a different country, not Canada or the U.S. South
Mm.
America, working answering calls there, because all you nowadays with the internet, you just need to plug in and you're good to go with our our, our phone system we've installed.
Mm. Awesome. Another question I kind of have is, let's say someone is a local business owner. Let's say they're in a different field for your scenario. Maybe they're a roofer, or maybe they do garage door. Would you recommend people starting a franchise for themselves, as in like a franchise company that can be franchised out the same way you do? Would you recommend that? Is it easy, or would you just stick to kind of doing the traditional model of just scaling a business?
Yeah, franchising can be expensive. You
Mm,
know, it was a real learning experience for us when we got into it. Obviously speaking with good people and partnering with good franchise sales development teams, but a lot of legal work, a lot of accounting work. You have to register the company in every single state. You have to re-register every year.
mm,
So there is if you're looking at franchising your business, you're not going to make money in 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years.
mm,
It's a long game to get people in, and then once you get franchises, the most important thing is you have to support them. So, we have a whole support team that, someone can phone. They have a whole list. Someone can phone at 9 o'clock at night. You're going to reach somebody on my support team that, oh, I have this upset customer. What do I do? Or, I
mm,
haven't seen this before. So, um, my recommendation probably would be, if you're starting out in the pest industry, would just build your own business.
mm.
And if you're as crazy as I am or as entrepreneur as I am and want something bigger, then yeah, go for it. But it does take a lot of time and energy, dollars, and you need to have a good team on your side to help you grow the franchise, and but more importantly, take care of your core business. You
Mm.
run off and start growing franchising, and your core business, your pest control business, starts to suffer because you're looking elsewhere. That's not going to be a good scenario as well. So, you got to grow a business and then look at, okay, what would be the next step.
Okay, cool. And one of the last things I want to ask you is, what's the biggest thing you've learned in the past few years? I'm sure you have so many like moments of wisdom and knowledge. You've been in it for like 40 years now, over that. Uh, In the past few years, what's been kind of a light bulb kind of moment for you?
Probably just hiring good people, treating them
Mm,
properly with respect, paying them a good wage because, they're your teammates. They're the ones that are
mm,
going to be putting dollars into the company bank account. So treat them
mm-hmm,
properly, let them have some flexibility, whether it be working from home, or, maybe they want a Friday afternoon off because they have to go to a wedding somewhere. Well, be receptive, and I think if you're nice to your employees, they're going to give back to you, and
yeah,
they're the face of the door. So
mm-hmm.
treating them properly is you know I think that goes a long way.
Okay, cool. I did want to touch on that actually because we talked about hiring agencies, but yeah, what about hiring good people? How do you know someone is an A player, and how do you go about hiring them?
Yeah, well, again, any business, everybody struggles with staff.
Mm-hmm,
So, it can be challenging, but, it is finding it. And our model normally is, we hire attitude and train the skills.
that's
We
good.
can train anybody to be a pest control operator. We can train anybody to be a wildlife control, how to get on our roof safely, how to tie off properly on the roof, how to stabilize your ladder. All these skills that I've been training people since day one because,
Mm,
very few people say, "Oh, I want to be a raccoon catcher when I grow up," or I want to squish ants when I get bigger. Very few people, that's their career path. So, if you have a great attitude, you're going to do well in life or here at Skedaddle because,
Mm,
the opportunities are immense in terms of future growth.
mm.
Um, so yeah.
Do you have any success stories of someone that's maybe franchised out? Maybe they've built I don't know, 5, 10 locations.
Yeah, we have a number of our franchise locations. They buy, they start out with 2 territories, and then they, after a few months, okay, now I see what Bill's talking about. There's a great
Mm,
opportunity here. I'm going to buy 3 more. So, whether they have 5 territories, um, so there's always, we're always looking for those type of people who, are looking at, buying an entire city, say Portland, whatever, say Portland's population 2 million, that could be an 8 territory city.
mm,
So, people that want to come in and own an entire city and buy all of it. But then there's other people, we have other franchisees who are just, they like a better work-life balance. Um, we have one in Northern Ontario that, you know, come wintertime, he's out ice fishing, snowmobiling, skiing. That's his life. He's loving that. He works hard in the summer months when pests are out there, and in the spring season when wildlife are at their highest numbers, and he's got just that great work-life balance. So, any type of operator, depending on what your goals are, we have a solution for them from a
okay.
franchising perspective.
Awesome. And the last thing I wanted to ask you, which I mean, this is almost even off topic, but you have 23,000 followers on LinkedIn. How do you get those followers? Have you been like posting a lot, or do you speak at conferences? What do you do?
No, I just my marketing team reaches out a lot for me. I find that it's just connecting with people in the industry. Obviously, if you're in the pest industry, people see you're in the pest industry. You just connect. Or wildlife industry, of course, being a former pro athlete, whether it's hockey
Mm,
players or football players or NBA players, they just can say, "Oh, this guy's an ex-athlete," and connect with me. So it
mm.
just kind of started growing and growing, and requests come in every day, or my marketing team might reach out to other people. But I think people like, hopefully people like my posts, but whether they're in the pest industry, they might say, "Oh, maybe I should join Skedaddle," or athletes, athletes retiring from the athletic world can be difficult. I was there,
Mm,
going into that locker room every day and hanging out with the team, and all of a sudden it stops. I think
mm,
franchising and particular wildlife and pest control, which is our more physical type of jobs, for any athlete who's looking, even if they went to college, looking at, starting a business, that, looking at Skedaddle as a franchise opportunity is a great option for them.
mm. Well, I think that's a great point on social media that I don't even think you actually meant to hit, is that to, let's say, grow like a personal brand, quote unquote, is that you should actually be like someone worthy of following. So, I mean, you run these 3 franchises, you're a professional athlete. So it's not like you're trying to grow a social media following, but you're actually like a successful guy that people want to associate with.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's, I'm not the social media guru, so
Yeah,
it's
no,
the
exactly.
the marketing team. I mean, social media is, I think, one of those things that companies have to have. Do you get a lot of
Mm,
revenue from it, from a Facebook post, or it's tough to whether it's, I'm gonna say, Twitter or X or Instagram,
hmm.
but I think companies need to be in that spot because you never know where a lead's going to come from.
Awesome. Well, it's so good to have you, Bill. We're at the hour mark here. Asked you a ton of questions. Was super valuable in my opinion. Haven't really talked to any franchise owners, so it's good to kind of get an in-depth and kind of look inside of what it actually is that you do and what it looks like at this scale, because you guys have, what you said, like almost 200 trucks. You guys are absolutely crushing it. So grateful to have you on the podcast. And yeah, thank you for your time, Bill.
Great, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And where can people find you and learn more about you and what you provide?
Obviously online, right? Everything's online. So skedaddlefranchise.com is our franchising website, and skedaddlewildlife.com is our customer facing website. So yeah,
Awesome. And anything else? I'll link your LinkedIn. Are you on any other social platforms?
all of them. Yeah,
Okay.
we're TikTok, which I don't even have. I don't understand that. Yeah, we're on X, we're on Instagram. LinkedIn. There's a corporate site for LinkedIn. So yeah, you could just Google Skedaddle, and
Okay.
hopefully those SEO companies will rank us that you'll see us.
Cool. Well, I'll link those in the description. And again, thanks so much for coming on, Bill. Great podcast. And yeah, thank you.